Hi and welcome. I'm Rachel. I am Chapel Hill Maker here on YouTube and Instagram, and I'm so happy you could join me while I'm knitting and making here in beautiful Chapel Hill, North Carolina. This is episode 4, and I still get really nervous before I hit start on my camera, but I am so happy to be here and I have so much to talk about and share, and I am looking forward to just connecting with you all again, and wanted to thank you so much for the comments and the engagement and the feedback and the advice, and I hope that we can continue chatting in the comments, in DMs on Instagram, and on Ravelry as well, where you can find me as Chapel Hill Maker also. So just to start out, what I'm wearing today is an oldie but goodie. It's the academic vest by Skeindeer. And here, I'll come in close so you can take a look. And this was a super fun project to make. I used Durarum Natura Ulisse and Retrosario Rosa Pomar in Vovo. And I can't recommend this pattern any more highly than I am. It was so much fun, and if you've been wanting to try steeking, this is a good one to start with. You steek the sleeves and the V-neck, and so you're never purling in color work, and I definitely recommend it. I'll link my Ravelry page here, as I think I took pretty good notes on that one. My Ravelry is spotty, but I'm pretty sure I took decent notes on that project, so I will link it down below. I have 2 finished objects for you today. One I don't have in person, but I will put a picture up. I've already gifted it, and it was the Grass Whispers beanie by Teti Lutsak, and she's on Instagram as Teti's Knit Garden, I think, and her patterns are just so good, and she's so creative and unique. I feel like she really puts patterns out there that you don't see other designers doing. I think she takes a lot of inspiration from her Ukrainian heritage and puts them into her patterns. I've made a few. I have one in progress that I'm not going to share with you yet because I haven't taken it out of its summer hibernation yet, but you'll see it in the nearest future, I think. But the Grass Whispers beanie was great, and I made it in Brooklyn Tweed Dapple, which I had some preciously in my stash, and I gifted it to a dear friend. So I will, again, you should see a picture here if I can figure that out. And I've made 2 of those so far, and I really highly recommend it. And then my other finished object is another hat, which I guess I've gotten my hat mojo back as my sock mojo has been teetering. But and this is a pattern that I saw in Stephen West's newsletter as like a designer to know, and Alex is Skeiny Dippin on Instagram and on Ravelry, and her patterns are really, I hadn't known her before, and I'm so glad that I do now, because the minute I saw this hat, I cast it on immediately. It's a really cool construction. Number one, it's top down, and I always love that because I have a small head, and so it's hard for me to gauge sort of where to do the decreases for the crown, and you can try this on as you go and see how it fits. And then the other thing is it starts with modular construction, which was really cool too. I had never really done anything like this before, but you may want to put your sunglasses on for this yarn. This came from Farmer's Daughter Fibers from their Beanie Brigade. I had a subscription for their hat club in hopes that I would get my hat mojo back. And so when this came, it was so far out of my comfort zone that I was like, yes, I'm definitely going to use that. Still out of my comfort zone, but I had so much fun working on it, and it definitely garnered a lot of attention, and you can see why. So here she is. And it's a great fit. It fits me sort of on the looser side, but it really looks good. And I'm not gonna try it on for you right now because I did blow dry my hair, and so I don't wanna mess it up. But look at the crown of this. Isn't that so cool and unique? And this is called the Qun Beanie, and hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. I messaged Alex to ask her, and it's spelled Qun, and she named it after, I think, a great aunt. But this worked up really quickly. It was my kind of on-the-go project for the last week, and it just flew off my needles. So much fun. This Farmer's Daughter this is the juicy worsted, and my stitch definition just it really makes me look like a good knitter, I guess I would say. My ribbing is not always this tidy, and it just really came out so well. It did grow a little bit when I blocked it because it is superwash, but I think it'll be a good hat to gift because that way they can wash it without fear, and I'm really pleased with it. And I already downloaded another top-down hat pattern from her, and I can't wait to get started on that one too. But just really clever and well-written pattern, easy to follow, video support, all of those good things. So highly recommend. And that's my 2 finished objects for today. I had a pretty busy couple weeks, all phenomenal fun things. Since I got back from Rhinebeck, I feel like I've been drinking out of a fire hose. Just we saw concerts and had all different, went to parties, all of these things that I normally am sort of a stay-at-home kind of girl, and all of these things really got me out, and it was fun. And now I'm ready to just chill and knit for a while right as we're coming into the holiday season, and I'm sure there won't be as much chill time as I'm hoping for, but have really valued the last little while with friends and family and making memories. And so I made some progress on my projects, not a ton of progress on some, but I'm excited to sort of show you what I've done. The first one is my Miel sweater, and this is by Claudia Q, Claudia Quintanilla, and she also has a new YouTube channel where she's talking through some of her designs and she's sharing some of her expertise, and she is a really prolific designer. If you know her from Unit Toronto, she has some beautiful patterns and a gorgeous book. If you definitely, I would say, check out her channel, check out her patterns. And this has been a really fun knit. It's gone a little bit slower for me than I expected, but I'm hoping now that I've separated for sleeves, she will start to go a little bit faster. But I love that part of the project where you separate for sleeves and it starts to look like a sweater. And I've tried it on and it fits, which also is always fun to confirm that after you put all this time in raglan increases, etc. I'm using Cirro from the Fibre company, and it's a sport, I think it's like a sport weight Surrey wool blend with a cotton core in it, and I'm really enjoying working with it. It gives a very different look to the sweater than her sample. Her sample is definitely sort of a typical fingering and mohair combination. It's very smooth. This has, as you can see, sort of some inconsistencies and some texture to it, but I'm really pleased with how it's coming out, and I'm looking forward to giving it a block and seeing how that changes the fabric as well. So yeah, I'm making steady progress on this. I sort of put it down once I separated for the sleeves so I could pay a little bit more attention to some of the other projects that I'm working on. That beanie got a lot of attention because I just couldn't put it down. And this I'm storing. I keep forgetting to share this bag because I it sits on my floor, but this comes everywhere with me. This is my, oh geez, I forget the name of the tote, but this is a tote from Thread and Maple. And I don't know if the light will pick up the embossing on it on here. And this bag is nice and huge, and everything I own kind of lives in here. It becomes my knitting bag, my purse, my everything. And that my husband actually purchased it for me as a gift, and it was a fundraiser to support Ukraine. I think I mentioned this in my last podcast, but all of their leather makers are in Ukraine and have really gone to pretty extensive lengths to be able to continue working and making, even despite what they have been through there. And so I love supporting Thread and Maple for that reason, and their products are just such good quality, and that tote bag is just lives wherever I am. So so that is my meal. And I don't know if I said it, but I'm making the first size in that. It's pretty oversized, and as a small statured woman, I can't really do the super oversized stuff, or else it looks like I'm wearing somebody else's clothes. So usually I knit a 2 or a 3 in different patterns. This one I sized down, and I think I'm happy with that choice. I guess we'll find out as I get a little bit farther down. But yeah, the next pattern that I am working on, which I didn't take out on my last podcast because it didn't get any love, and this is in my Madder Root bag from Madder Root, Maine, that I got last year at Rhinebeck, is my Cinnamon and Bourbon. And I picked this back up once I divided for the sleeves on the Miel, and had to sort of remember where I was, because of course I didn't take great notes, and I'm always convinced that I'm going to remember, and then I don't remember, and I'm surprised that I don't remember, but this is nothing new for me. But then I get to do the fun part of sort of what I call forensic knitting, finding where I was in the project and picking it up and praying that I'm doing it correctly. So I finished the front of this, so it now sort of looks a little sweater-like. And this is knit bottom up, and so I've now picked up the back to continue up the back, and that I think will go a little bit faster because there's less shaping involved. So you can see I just have to get it up to where the front is. And I'm knitting the size 2 in this, and it looks a little bit cropped. I'm expecting some good growth from this because of the texture and because it's alpaca. And I've mentioned this on the podcast previously, but this I'm knitting out of Knit Pick City Tweed DK. And so far really loving the yarn. It doesn't seem to be pilling while I'm knitting with it, which is a good sign. And right now it's sort of a big old mess because there's lots of loose ends that I have to weave in, and hopefully for the next time I will at least have the back done and maybe have started on the sleeves, but we'll see. It'll see where life takes me. So that is the Cinnamon and Bourbon, and I ran into Thea at Rhinebeck at a woolen affair, and we bonded over our love for that pattern, and she said she's not done with it. She is expecting to release, I think she teased a hat pattern in that same texture. So it's a really fun like repeat to follow. You more or less can memorize it and just sort of check in with the chart occasionally, but like all of Thea's patterns, it's really well written, really easy to sort of make a sweater that looks like it's super complicated, but doesn't feel that way when you're making it. So I can't recommend that enough. Sun is finally coming out here in Chapel Hill. I think hopefully you can see out of my window, the leaves are changing. We are just about at peak fall. I thought about turning my camera around today because I have this maple tree right outside we're sitting in my bedroom, right outside my bedroom window, and it lights up my room in this bright orange, like fire glow during the fall. It is my favorite, like, it's my favorite view. It usually signals the fact that fall is almost over and we're going to be moving into the winter months, but it goes out in such a beautiful way that it's worth it. And I will add a little bit of footage at the end. I took on a walk recently, so you can see a little bit of Chapel Hill fall. And people are sometimes surprised that we get all 4 seasons here in North Carolina, and where we are in the Piedmont region, we sort of get a little bit of everything, and sometimes we get them all in one day. So my North Carolina viewers can attest to that and confirm that. And then the last one that I have to share with you, I don't have a lot to show. I signed up to test Alicia Plummer's new sweater. I'll put a picture of her wearing it here. It's a garter stitch Henley that she did in this beautiful worsted spun DK yarn from Mountain Meadow wool. And here's this. And I'll talk about it a little bit more in my treasures section, but I decided to order the yarn that she used. I didn't have enough quantity in stash to knit this test, and I have a feeling it's going to be one I'm going to pull on over and over again. So I wanted to do it in a yarn that I was really excited about. And just the bounce and the squish of this yarn is, it's something else. It's a Merino, and it is, so this company is all American made. This is from Wyoming, and this base is called Jackson, and all of their bases are named in an homage to where their wool comes from. And here is my swatch. Hopefully you can see this well, but it has really pretty color variation as you knit, and in garter stitch it's just so squishy. So I swatched, and now I have cast it on, so you may have to zoom in to see. This is about all I've gotten, is the cast on edge in the first row, but I'm super excited to be testing for Alicia again, and I expect next time I'll be sharing a little bit more on this with you. But yeah, so that brings me to spinning. I shared a little bit last time about my spinning process. I still have my jaunty waiting for some attention with my hand spun, and all of the feedback and talking about spinning really got me excited to finish a spin that I started honestly over a year ago. I did a combo spin of 2 4-ounce bundles, and I used a pre-dyed fiber of course I didn't write it down here, but I'll put it in the comments. I think they're mostly like Polworth and Corriedale, and there's a little bit of silk in one of them. They're from Hip Strings and from Nest Fiber. And I'm really sort of learning every single time I pull out my wheel, but take a look at this, and I'm really pleased with how this came out, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to make with it. I have about 500 yards, and you know, there's definitely sort of some thick and thin spots or underplied, but I had to ply this twice because the first time I put it through, it came up, you know, I plied it and I think I rushed it, and I did the whole washing and the nitty knotty and all of it, and it was really underplied. And so I got some advice from a spinning friend who said I could put it back on the wheel and reply it, and it made a huge difference. So so I'm pretty pleased about how this came out, and I'm looking forward to knitting something. And I like that, at least I'm expecting that the final product when I knit with it will be sort of not as stripy as some of my previous spins because of it, because I did it as a combo of two different, two different braids of fiber that had been dyed in totally different places. I think it'll give me a little bit more consistency of color, even though there's so much variation in here. So I'll be interested to see what I, can do with it and where it goes. But that took up a lot of my time in the last couple weeks since recording as well. I really just enjoyed getting on the spinning wheel. And one of the braids I spun, like I said, it was waiting over a year. And the second braid, when I got back from Rhinebeck, I had spun maybe 2 ounces of it, not even an ounce of it. And then I just spun the other 3 ounces in just a couple days because I kept going back to the wheel and enjoying watching it as it went. And I've posted a few videos of that. And so I did get some great feedback on e-spinners from you guys in the comments, and I actually put a call out on our local spinning guild listserv, and it sounds like a lot of people really like the electric eel wheel, I think it's the 6, it's like their bigger spinning wheel is a good, it's a great price point. I think it's $300, and it's a 3D printed piece of equipment. And then the other one that got the most feedback, that I got the most feedback on, was the Hansen. And that's just so pretty. And so you kind of have to decide what you're looking for. But both of those got kind of the most votes on my really unscientific research. So if you're in the market, if you're thinking about it, I figured I would share what I learned in the process. Checking my notes here. And you may hear Poppy in the background. She got a fresh bully stick and she is just going to town. I wanted to circle back to a couple things that I forgot to talk about from our Rhinebeck weekend. I was so just like on everything, and I left some people out that I met and some gifts that I received, and I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that I can sort of acknowledge the people that were so kind and generous that weekend. I did get a really cute needle gauge from Viking Fibre from Kyle, and I can't show that to you because my sweet Mary Poppins snuck up here, got a hold of it, and chewed it up, and I was not happy with her. So so that one was super nice of him to give out. And then my housemates were Kat and Victoria from Knitworthy Yarns, and they are just the best travel companions. We also had Jenny, who is living with wool on Instagram, and this was our second year traveling together. Last year we had Maddie from Colorado Knitter join us, but unfortunately she couldn't make it this year. And Kat makes the coolest stitch markers and these little progress keepers. I've shared Victoria's bags before, but look at how cute these are. There's even a little black sheep. And so I can't wait to use these on my projects coming up, but just look at how cute they are. But I wanted to make sure that I shared that. And these little stitch markers that she does up here are just the best, because she makes sure that there's no snag on them on the ring. She glues the beads in place, and they're perfect. They're not too fat, so they don't leave a ladder in your knitting. And I love when they're all color coordinated. It makes me feel super organized. So check those out at Knitworthy. And then I met Chip and Aaron from Fiber Hustle as well, and they were just as sweet as they could be and funny. And when I met them, I think on Saturday at Rhinebeck, they were, Chip was complaining that Aaron had never made him a sweater. I just watched their latest episode, and it sounds like he's going to make him one. So hopefully the sweater curse is not in place because I just love those two together. And they gave me this little needle keeper. So it squeezes down right there. And they also have really beautiful hand-dyed yarn and project bags as well. So go give them a follow. And they were just as nice as they could be. I loved meeting them as well. So let's see, what else did I have to share? It's funny, I was watching Rachel and Renee from Table 10, and they're talking about this yarn diet that they're going on following Rhinebeck until the end of the year. And in my head, you know, those like the angel and the devil that like is sitting on your shoulders, like the angel is like, oh yeah, that's such a good idea. We should go on a yarn diet till the end of the year. And then this devil is like, submit. And now I have new yarn coming to the house because the devil appears to have won. But so I ordered that yarn from Mountain Meadow Yarns, and I was really torn between the two colors that I wanted to get. I wanted to get like a sort of a mustardy ochre kind of color. And then I saw this beautiful Carolina blue color, and I couldn't leave that there. And so I was like, this is the one I'm going to use for the test. I love it. It's called Waterfall. And I put this in my cart, and then I looked in their sale section, as one does, and they had this one that I am ending up using for the test knit. It's called Sorrel, and it was a little browner than the mustard color I was thinking about, but it was on clearance, and it was a lot less expensive. And so I was like, well, can't hurt to order both and see what I get and see which one I love, and then I'll have a sweater quantity of the other one for something in the near future. So a little glimpse into Chapel Hill Maker math. And in addition to that, they gave you a mystery bag of yarn with each sweater quantity, I guess, if you spent over $100. And so they gave me this, which is legitimately a mystery. I have 6 skeins of these, and there's some color variations in them. I think it's just when they're testing out new colors. I have no idea what base it is, what weight it is, what color it is. I looked on their site to sort of see what it was close to, and I didn't see it, but I'm excited to make something with it. So if you have any insights as to what I am looking at, but I love that they do that. I think they must share sort of the cast-offs from their testing. And now I have yarn that I didn't have before and that I didn't pay for. So that was my only acquisition for this week, but I do have mail coming today. I don't know if you've used or seen High Country Wool. They just announced, sadly, that they're closing their mill or they're closing their company and not making yarn anymore. And I had some yarn in my stash from way back when they first opened, which was, I think, around COVID or just before COVID. And I made a pair of colorwork mittens with their flock DK yarn, and I loved it. And I kept meaning to sort of go back and get more. And as you do, you get distracted by more yarn and more, different things you want to try. And then when I saw the announcement that they were closing, I knew it was my last opportunity to get some of their yarn. So I did buy some of that from their clearance sale, and I'll share that with you next time. It should be coming in the post today. So I think that is kind of my whole thing for this week. I did want to sort of acknowledge a few people. I wanted to thank Hannah G and the Table 10 ladies, Needles at the Ready, and my dear friend Madi from Colorado Knitter have all been so generous with sharing my channel. And I think some of you have found me that way. And I just wanted to thank you for coming over to check me out. And hopefully you've enjoyed what I have to share, but also just, it's been so cool to sort of feel and experience the generosity of this community, whether it's the people who are content creators on YouTube or on Instagram, or just you who take your time to make a comment and engage. And that's been just such a wonderful surprise, because it takes me a lot to get my nerve up to record each time. And so it's been so much fun, and it is worth it every single time, because I meet more of you and I learn more. I've gotten good pattern recommendations. You may notice, if you're an eagle eye, I'm so bad at doing the backwards pointing, but you may notice a new addition to my background here, and I will talk about her in another episode. That's my grandmother, and I am hoping in the next week or so to put up a little bit of knitstery. I'm still working on the word, knitting and history combined, but wanted to sort of share with you my knitting journey, and so stay tuned for that in the not too distant future. But finally, I wanted to share my I'm calling it my active news cycle avoidance section of this, and that's my audiobooks and podcasts. And I have really been, like, all of a sudden my Libby app, I had three books at the same time come off of my hold list, and so I have been diligently listening to audiobooks. And the two that I have to recommend for you right now are Jojo Moyes. She wrote the series, the Me Before You series, and those were fantastic, and I've loved every book I've listened to by her. And the one I just finished was called Someone Else's Shoes, and it's about a woman who accidentally takes the wrong bag at the gym, and she's sort of a plain middle-class, middle-aged woman going about her life, and in the bag are these gorgeous Christian Louboutin shoes and a Chanel jacket, and she doesn't have any choice but to put those on because she's got a business meeting to go to. And it's sort of all about how these two women, how their lives are impacted right at that moment of the bags being switched. And not describing it really well, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was not a murder mystery or a cozy mystery, but it did have a little bit of suspense in it, and the characters are so well fleshed out and interesting. I just really enjoyed spending time with them, and her books are really so well done. And so I would say go to your Libby app and put any of her books on hold. I have really loved all of them. And then the other one that I started was a series called The Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. And this is sort of a classic cozy mystery. It's not too scary, not too dark. And it starts out as like a classic sort of British whodunit in a small town. It uses phenomenally British words, like they call the wood clearing the dingle dell, and the pie hall is where it happens, and I couldn't love that anymore. And I wrote down a quote from the book that I just loved so much, because the chief inspector was talking about getting home to his wife at the end of a long day while they're investigating these murders, and he says he could tell the mood of his wife by how quickly her knitting needles were moving. And that just made me chuckle out loud, because I think we can probably all relate to that. But the second part of the book becomes like a book within a book. It advances to the present time, and so I had done no research on this book, and so when that happened, I was sort of surprised. Now I've spoiled it for you, but I love that book within a book kind of feature, and a good friend of mine recommended it. I trusted her judgment, and I'm super glad that I did. So hopefully you too will get some active news cycle avoidance from some of these books that I'm recommending. My podcast apps have been sitting pretty quiet because I've been trying to keep up on these audiobooks before they have to go back at the end of my loan period. But I'm pretty sure this is all I have to share with you today. So now that the sun has come out, I think I'm going to take Poppy and Sawyer out on a walk to go look at the leaves. And I can't thank you enough for being with me again today. If you haven't joined me before, I'm just so happy that you're here, and hopefully you will be able to come hang out with me again in Chapel Hill. And I figured since I'm signing off, I can try this hat on and you can see how cute it is. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.